What's going on, guys? This is a stock that I have been watching, and unfortunately I did not play it, and I'm very angry with myself. But we can see what happened here. I had this perfect rising channel here, rising wedge, that broke out, and I saw it break out. I missed the breakout, but I saw it coming back down. And I contemplated taking a trade up in this range here of this back test, and I didn't, so I just kind of watched it, and I've been looking at it every couple days, and it's just only been going higher and higher here. And you can see my target of this breakout here from when it pulled was right at this exact level here of 786. And we created somewhat of a rising wedge. I was kind of looking at this as a rising wedge, or we could probably do something like this and make it into a rising channel. And you know, of course, this thing could be at a top right now, which is why I was skeptical in making this video. So I am kind of just like, you know, I'm not saying that come in here and start buying this thing, because we can see on the daily our RSI is slowly starting to roll. We kind of hit some areas of confluence in the RSI. Right here we can take a look. We just got our rejection on the RSI here on the 4 hour, which we kind of have a little bit of divergence here based off of these previous highs here. We're kind of downtrending on the RSI until this recent break here. If we drew a trend line here on the RSI just to kind of see what has happened, we can kind of see something of the sort like this. But if we do continue to follow this channel, which would be something I'd really be interested in watching, but really, if we lost 752, we could see support found at the 726 level. But if we did break that 756, we might see ourselves having to come back to back test some of this area here. I'm going to put some fib retracement levels up just to kind of see, just based off of this time frame here. I'm going to zoom in on the 4 hour, and I'm going to go from this recent high, which does look like a rejection right here, which might actually open us up for a small shorting opportunity potentially, and look at some fib retracement levels and see what we could do. Now, if we came all the way back down, obviously we're going to have that strong support at that 547, and if we do break this 786 at 717, then we would probably look for some pretty you know, decent retracements, which we could go to the 0.618 at 665. We could go to my support line here that I do have drawn in at 657, and then we could go as low as the 629.5 fib. I mean, if you really wanted to pick out some lows, you could wait. It might take some time. We could wait for this 592, but this is a stock that's been performing very, very nicely, so it's something we're going to want to watch. And the reason I got this white line here was really based off of this consolidation, but we can kind of see this consolidation was roughly around this 0.5 fib retracement and as high as the 0.618. So it's very possible that we could get a rejection here. We could come down, we could bounce off of this 0.786, come back up for a double top, and then bring ourselves down to retest and reclaim this 0.5 fib to 0.618 area before blasting up to the upside. So this is kind of what I would like to do. If I see something that's performing very well, I don't want to come right in and say, oh my god, I'm going to miss this train. I want to kind of get a clear picture of what happened, where the price went, is it getting rejected, are there bearish divergences, which I am seeing potential divergences, and then what's the pattern on the RSI that we broke out from. Could we see the RSI come down here, back test this previous breakout of this RSI? You can see we trended under this downtrending line, we ripped up, so we could see it come back down and back test it and potentially run if we got a nice RSI bounce on this range. That would be a clear indication on this 4 hour trend that we are actually going to move back to the upside. So for now, this is just something I want to put on everyone's radar if you're not already in it. And if you're in this thing, maybe that's why you found this video. Let me know if you guys got in and what prices you got in, because that would be excellent to hear. So for me, I'm really looking at this consolidation. So this consolidation ranged from the 0.382 at 592 to the 0.618 at 665. So to see ourselves holding above that range would be very, very key for me. So somewhere between the 629 and the 665, which for me, I kind of put this resistance line, which we could actually move it down just to be safer here. I don't know what I used for a oh, here we go. We could almost put this thing here to just keep our eyes on a actual level, which would actually be perfectly right in between both of these levels, and that would be 649, 648. So to me, seeing that 648, 647 area, and if we were to hold that level, that would be something insane to see, and we could definitely see this thing end up potentially moving into something a lot bigger, and we could still follow in this potential channel. So if we get rid of this fib retracement real quick, just to now that we know that level is right there, I'll even mark it with a target if you guys are interested in this in a couple weeks. I don't know how long it would take for it to get down here, but this roughly 642, 648, I might move that up a little bit. Right there, 649, that would be my range of confluence, and I would love to see it come there and then potentially blasting to new levels. But if we look at the daily, just to kind of get a glimpse of this upper trend line, in case that does fail, we can also do something like this. I'll get rid of these green lines because they're a little more sloppy, and I've been liking actually doing these skinnier lines because they've been giving me a little more of a clear take on the trend. So I mean, obviously we look like we had that double bottom there. I mean, I would probably make a case that it's looking more something like this, and if we pulled this back here to some of these recent peaks, going off of that peak there, okay, that peak there, yeah, I like that one, and then this trending support there, that would make the most sense to me. So we can see here, when we broke through this, we ripped, tried to back test it, we lost it, came back up, found it as resistance, we fell down, we broke it a hair, but we double bottomed roughly on this trend line, came back up, and you can kind of see, I'm not going to go through each peak, but we can kind of see how this price action has reacted. And then we tried to, this is where our consolidation was, we were trying to break it, and we were unfortunately not able to break it. We came back down, wicked it a little bit, and then we continued right on up, like a really fast rise up, which does show you that there's not too much resistance. However, either that or the just buyers were so strong. And now recently, we actually broke this channel. So another way to look at it, which I do have this rising channel here, uptrend, another thing to keep an eye on here is really to watch and see if we do backtest the 715 to 733 level, and we do actually hold it, which is possible it could, but it's obviously a little risky. But if we did get a backtest on that thing and we managed to control it, then this thing's going to be looking for much higher levels, and we can actually try to get an idea of what has happened here. Even if we just base it off of this wick here, I'm going to try this out. From this wick to this low, we can see if we actually hit any levels yet. So potentially, based off of that, our next 1.618 level is up at this 1036. So depending on how this all ranges out, and if we actually went off of this wick here, we can see a higher price range, of course, but we can go something like that, which would be from this swing low right here at $1 up to this swing high at $7.80. So that would bring us up to $12 for our next potential area here. But that's why I'm interested in buying some pullbacks. And then if we just did our fib retracement levels, we can get some even shorter term time frame stuff, which I just did, but I didn't look at the extensions. So if we go from this recent high and we pull us down to that recent wick low at 480, we can see our next 1.618 would be at 972. So important levels, key important levels to buy are the 0.618, 668, and then the 0.5 fib. So like I said before, buying somewhere in between the 668 and the 632 would be an absolutely phenomenal buy zone, even if this thing did end up getting some kind of rejection here, coming all the way down and somehow wicking into this range, consolidating until we hit this support and then ripping back up. That wouldn't be something bad to see at all. And if we looked at some Ichimoku cloud as well, just to kind of see how everything looks out, take a look at where the Ichimoku cloud is right now. Of course, this is days and weeks later. It could take days and days to get over here. You know, we're talking about November 17th roughly until we hit this cloud. And if we came right down now, we would come all the way down into this potential fib level of 635. But all of this area might come in confluence at some point here. And on the weekly, oh wow, look on the weekly. All this red resistance we broke through here. And that's roughly sitting, even just to keep an eye on, is roughly sitting around $7 even. So even if we didn't end up coming as low as those levels I just talked about, the $7 level, depending on how it looks on the weekly, this could be a range as well. This 0.786, 719 to potentially $7, we'd want to watch that also. Because if we create some kind of falling wedge or some kind of bull flag in between this area, then we could also say that that could be another range. So we have a few levels that I'd watch, but I would definitely want to buy a pullback on this, in my opinion. And I think it's going to be a very strong thing, as long as you don't start losing too much of some support ranges. So we're definitely going to want to watch it. I mean, we can go down to the hourly and kind of see how it's been performing just based off of the Ichimoku cloud. We can see how many times it's back tested it and bounced. So for an hourly trade here, we can see that we have a lot of cloud support ranging around this 737, 740 level for a shorter term potential area here. But if we started to lose this 740 area, it would also come in confluence with this rising channel here. That would be a potential breakdown and a potential short if we did get back into that range, which, like I said, we could potentially short it down to this 648 area here, which wouldn't be too bad of an idea. So these are all things to watch, and these are all the things that I would watch here. It kind of looks like a small head and shoulders pattern, but it is attempting to potentially try to break this. And if we did break this thing today, we can still come up here to roughly this 807 area. So that would be something to watch for a short-term potential trade if this is going to do something of something like that. I mean, we kind of just have something that's looking a little bit like a rising wedge, but we'll have to look and see. It's kind of looking like a rising broadening wedge right now where we're in, so we're kind of just respecting this. So I mean, if we did get a rejection here, we fell back down, we could find some support around this 769 before potentially lifting off past the 784. But if you saw like an hourly close or maybe a couple hourly close, see like a nice little flagging action on top of this support right here, that could bring you for a move up to that 822, which is not too bad of an idea for a trade as of right now, just like a short swing. This level right here, 784, we'd want to see us control, and then we could probably see ourselves come up between this 807 to 812 area. But obviously we have to trade that with cautious, because we can see this recent 4-hour candle is a spinning top, and it's actually the first red candle that we've had during this whole green uptrend. So I would trade that. If you were going to trade that, I would trade it with a lot of caution, because we're seeing right here a rejection, which could bring us down back to this area, and if we did lose that, then we would looking back into this lower areas here. But it does like to play on this cloud support. We can see how perfectly it came in. So that would roughly be around that 740. But losing that area, like I said, could be a breakdown. So, you know, it depends on how you'd like to play it. If you think this is going to continue in this trend here, then this would be a great spot to buy right there. And then just keep your stops somewhere below this cloud, somewhere in the 713, below 713 personally, as low as 7, depending on your risk to reward ratios. And then you can potentially see this thing continue following this channel up to those higher targets we talked about. But it does look like it could need a little correction here, unless it just consolidates here. But you're right on the edge of something big happening, but also it could go either way. So like, hopefully all this helps and nothing was confusing here. You know, I'm just kind of talking off the top of my head as I go through. So if you guys enjoyed this, please leave me a like. I know it was a long video, but with that being said, I'm out. Peace.